Yo, what's up, Color? Welcome. The audience is super excited to get to know you. I'm also super excited to get to know you. How would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Collur. I make music and other things, and I just kind of preach being yourself and doing what you want to do and not trying to go too far outside of that. Oh yeah, if you want to find me, it's just Collur everywhere on social media. I add music after it. Wherever you get your music, it's just Color, but not a lot else shows up. Nobody's thought to spell it that way, so it's good.
When did you realize that being an artist was your calling, and when did your career take off?
Definitely, I feel like I've made music for such a long time, like just in high school, like exclusively on SoundCloud for a little bit. But I've always been pretty good at expressing myself through writing and through just my actions and the way I carry myself. And I thought that a lot of people always talk to me about that, like talk to me about they love that they can see that I'm showing up for my art or showing up for who I am. And so I was like, I should be an artist and like make a brand out of it. And it's kind of what I'm doing. But ever since I moved to Greeley about 3 years ago, it's really um, become much more serious, and I've been able to focus much more on it and meet a lot of people in the local community that have like really made some connections just in my brain and to get some of this stuff happening and to get real people engaged with who I am and my music.
In your childhood, what influenced your creativity?
I would say growing up in my childhood, I was definitely there for myself a lot, like very independent child. Like I ended up, I don't really know my biological mom, and that happened early on in my life. And like my family members and my dad like struggled with addiction and different things, but I always had like my siblings and just also like making sure I was being the best version of myself, like achieving in school, achieving in whatever I tried to do, and that's just carried on with me. My childhood like made me a very expressive and it made it important for me to show up for myself. And so that's what I kind of just try and do with music. And I actually have an album coming up where I talk a lot about how like everything is just exactly how it's been. And um, I've learned to accept that. And I'm very grateful for like the situation I've had because it's uniquely my situation and I get to make art about it.
What does your creative process look like?
Ooh, okay. So lately I've been making like a song every day at least, sometimes 3 songs in a day. A lot of the times all I want to do is like, light a joint and sit down in front of the computer, find a tight beat, like just look up Larry June because maybe I heard a Larry June song I like that day, and then just like talk my talk on it and be brutally honest, but like have so much swag with everything I say because I have that confidence in like who I am and like what I have to say. And so I think just like approaching a mic with that mentality allows me to get so much art done. And that's kind of my process for creating day to day. But when it comes to something bigger, like an album or like a story I have to tell, I'll really sit down with something for so long and um, let it tell me what it's supposed to mean before I share it with somebody. I think I'm definitely like that with like the live experiences I curate, like put a lot of thought into those things, so that every person that comes and supports me like has a memory to leave that space with.
What is the most difficult part in working in your profession?
I mean, it definitely can be anything. Like it's very different, but for me, I feel like I'm very like I just don't really care what people think. I'm not too affected by my external environment. Although I feel like my motivation and just my willingness to share things, take things the extra mile, and like take the serious things and the professional things and music licensing and things like that serious. It's hard to do that. Matter of fact, in 2023, I didn't even file my taxes because I was just like making music and like I thought that's all that mattered. But I think now I've kind of matured and like it's important if you want to make art for a long time and you want it to serve you. in, kind of the system we work in. You just have to be serious about it and do things behind the scenes that are not just the things you're sharing. And that's probably the hardest part. And it's definitely an educational curve. Like, you got to really sit down with it and like figure it out piece by piece.
What has life taught you about being an artist or business owner?
Definitely. I think for me, it's coming up in a place like Greeley as an artist and as a musician. It's really simplified that like business nature of music to me, because everybody that I've professionally collaborated with reached out to for show sponsorships to purchase X amount of tickets and give them away, or working with the university UNC to perform at like a back to school concert. Like, those are things that costed a lot of money that wasn't in my bank account, but through just like communication and like being your authentic person and being honest about what you want, and most importantly adding value to other people as hopefully they're doing the same to you in that relationship, that's like been really principal and most important when I try and build this infrastructure around my music. Choosing my connections wisely and making sure I'm showing up to that relationship and adding value to other people.
What is the one thing that people don't know about you that you wish people knew about?
Yeah, this is a good question because I am really like the guy in a social setting to like just listen, and it kind of takes a lot for me to like get into myself. But I like that about myself just because it's like, I always have my cards close to me, and I'm also always like kind of like learning and observing people. But I would say one thing I wish maybe people would ask me more is, I wish people would ask me this more. Why do you choose to do things that like make life harder? It seems like a lot of the times I choose to like go against a grain in a way. Maybe like, yeah, I go against the grain in a way, and I feel like people notice it. And a lot of times I just want people to ask about it because it is something that can make you feel judged as an artist, like going against the grain or taking a difficult route, putting less emphasis on things that to me don't matter at all, but to the world are just so critical to life, like money and, a huge emphasis on school and college. Like, I've been an academic person, but it's not very important to me. And I've like left a lot of opportunities and jobs behind that I feel like weren't serving just the person I am or the human I am. And so I think like just ask me about my humanity and let's have a conversation about humanity, because isn't that the whole point? I feel like the point really isn't money when we're humans. It's got to be humanity. And there's definitely an understanding of that I'm trying to reach in my music. And I think a lot of people notice it, especially artists.
Color, when is it a good time to show up to things? Is it like intuition or advice?
Honestly, I definitely think it's an intuition. Like, I think there is a certain rigidness that's required of success, but it's really more important to like understand where you're coming from or understand who you are that day or who you can show up as that day. Because, there's a lot of periods of my life where I took like 4 months away from everything, or, backed out of huge commitments. This job that I actually really served me and took me really far in life, because I was like, this isn't a route I want to go down forever. And I just need to let myself shut down and understand things. And in those 4 months I kind of took away from the world, learned so much about myself, and I feel like I could be a better person to people that are important to me, my siblings, my parents, my girlfriend of 5 years that has supported all of the art I've ever made, and most importantly myself. And so I think that comes first, and there's a lot of leeway you need to give yourself to get to a place like that. And then once you know who you are, like, get to work, because it's also people that are already there and working. And so it's not necessarily a competition, but it's important to do the things that you care about, or else they'll just pass you by.
What are the qualities that you admire about yourself that contribute to the growth of your career?
I'm very like I'm just so sure of myself. Like, I don't come up in social settings. I come off across as pretty quiet, but I think that's because I am so sure of myself. Like, I feel like oftentimes the loudest person in the room, can be trying to compensate for something. And I don't feel like I need to show up as anybody for anyone else, Like, I always talk about comfort, and I feel like comfort is such a good thing once you're there because, you can be totally yourself, but the thing that makes you comfortable or that feeling of comfortableness will be changing all the time. And so that's why you can't get stuck up in a certain way and tell yourself like this is comfort. Like you just need to listen to the world and kind of like understand that what makes you comfortable is going to change, but always be comfortable and always like show up as yourself and don't buy into what people will expect from you.
Oh, yeah.
And also to build on that, I feel like purposely in like my album, So Be It, coming out at the end of the month on March 28th, I feel like I purposely track listed it so one song would like set such a large expectation for like, how I'm supposed to sound or, maybe how I live. And the next song I would just pull people right back out of that expectation. And then right after that, bring them into something new. So I think that's like kind of how I carry myself every day,
Speaking furthermore on projects, what recent things are you working on?
Definitely. Like I said, I'm always making music, and a lot of it is just like, oh, I can't wait to put this on my story, and then I can't wait to, make a video of my cat with this one. And so there's a lot of like detachment I have from things I create, but what I'm very passionate about right now is my debut album, which is called So Be It, is a translation for amen, and that's what my grandpa would say like growing up in church. And it's not like a religious album by any means, but I think that like amen or like the end of the idea of like the end of the prayer makes a lot of sense for the album. And it's a cool album. You should listen to it. I think it was made entirely in Greeley, and that's something that's also very unique about it. Like all the producers, studios, contributors, they're all from Greeley. All the press writers I chose to like cover it and like, capture its story, I chose from Greeley. So I think it's a very good. I think it's a very good start for me for a debut album. I think it's just the perfect base of where I can go from here.
Do you have one song that you enjoy more than the others on what you made?
Yeah. Okay. So someone asked me a similar question the other day. I feel like the song that like I would play in a car full of people, and be like, this is my music. What do you think? I wouldn't say that though. It was probably God Complex. Like I think the sound is just so its own thing. It's like kind of West Coast, and it's very ethereal and it's very like boom heavy. And that's like kind of where I want to go with music. But to me, the one I love listening to the most is called Stamina. And I chose that. I say that because right now is like a crazy time for so many groups of people. And like, it's so hard to ignore that and just like keep like promoting silly songs sometimes. And like, but I think this song is like a very anthemic, anti, what everything that's happening right now. Like I talk a lot about like, marijuana and how like, toxic masculinity is like kind of built into society, and like, how people are oppressed and violence are taken against people. And I said it in a very just swaggy way, like an easy way to listen to. And I think that song is just like so perfectly crafted in particular. And that's why I like that one the most.
What is the heart of what you do and what keeps you going?
Well, at the bottom of my website, I have a little thing and it just says Collur Corp, which is like just a fake LLC name I made up. And then right under it says Be Yourself, fam. And I just feel like, yeah, like nothing's that deep. And like, there's really not often a time where it's worth like judging somebody or impeding on who somebody really feels like, or like who somebody knows that they are. And so just be yourself, fam, and like also kind of worry about yourself, but not in a way where you don't care about things, just in a way where like you're there for other people and who they're showing up as. Because if we all just had the strength to show up and we felt comfortable showing up, like there'd be so much more to everything. Like we wouldn't be so separated and we could really like do something different or something better than what we're doing. And so I guess that's kind of the way. But yeah.
How has culture influenced your creativity?
Definitely. I think growing up in Aurora, I just had like so many unique experiences. Like I went to very nice schools, and all my friends like cared. We had our head in the books, and we were all involved in extracurriculars. But also, grew up in neighborhoods where like a lot of kids were like raising themselves. And matter of fact, like my older sister took on a lot of responsibility as a young child, kind of making sure I had the guidance I needed when I was 5 years younger than her. And so I think just like having the duality of like people who are really, focused and have resources and can build genuine things that are kind of like sound and safe, and also the people that just have total faith in themselves because they've always had to show up for themselves. That duality and being around both of those types of people has made me into somebody that can walk into a room confidently with people that, don't know if they should take a risk on me, but, who I am and the security I have in my vision makes them believe in me and convinces somebody to buy a ticket to my show or convinces somebody to click on my song. And that's an organic thing. And that's what I wanted to always stay as, representing myself well.
Is there any artist you would like to collaborate with?
Like if you asked me this a year ago, I felt like, I feel like when you start making music, it's so emulative. Like you have the person you've always looked up to. But now that I make music like so often, I oftentimes listen to songs. I'm like, oh shoot, I can emulate that so well. But I think some people that I can't do that for and that I would love to like be around in a studio session with are Tame Impala. That would be incredible. Like, actually, I might try and do a Tame Impala tape and then tag him and everything and see if he shows up. Tame Impala would be my answer. That's pretty cool. Also, I am very inspired just by Mac Miller. I can't make a song with him anymore, unfortunately, rest in peace. But it's crazy to see the things that people have done. And Smino is my last answer. Yeah. Smino, Thundercat, and Tame Impala.
Yeah, you do give off the vibe. Even in your music too. So
thank you.
Is there a song from anyone or a song that you made for yourself that you keep close to your heart?
A song I hold close to my heart. I will say, like, the person that's probably made the biggest impression on me, I'm not sure if I want a song with them these days. But the person that's made the biggest impression on me is Chance the Rapper. And I think Acid Rain by Chance the Rapper would probably be like that song where every time it comes on, I just like focus on it and get lost in it. Yeah, listen to it. I've never done acid, but it seems like it'd be a good song to do on acid.
Collur, we're about to enter the audience questions. For the first question is, what inspires you the most and where do you find inspiration?
Ooh, so my name's Collur, Collur. LLU is my initials, by the way. I do find a lot of inspiration in color, but more so like just like how colors make you feel. It's not like I have a deep understanding of like color besides like the color wheel and like some stuff about RGB and stuff that I learned while doing Photoshop. But color is cool, and I feel like it could be used very powerfully with music. And I think there's always a color that you can compare sound to. So I'd say color and my community.
For the second question is what has been the most difficult step in becoming a creative?
Mm, you know, definitely making time for it, and also not being a creative, like having to balance being somebody that, as a sacrifice in a way, like shows up to a low paying job that um, doesn't see them as more than what they're there to do, so that you can fund this other thing that you care so much about. Like that is part of the sacrifice, and I think balancing like not creating and not being totally in your own way and creating and giving everything you can to that, even after you've worked like long hours and spent X amount of money on things, is hard. And, I try not to, set expectations for things, but when you spend 6 months of your life on something, you want people to see it at least. And if that's not happening, that can be challenging. But, persistence is the main thing. Like just keep creating and it'll work out. If not on a like commercial level, on a personal level, it'll like serve its purpose.
Third question, what is your favorite or least favorite part of the process?
My favorite part, nah. My least favorite part of my creative process probably has to be waiting. Like, if it were up to me, like my songs would export straight out of FL Studio to some magic cloud that drops the song and knew exactly what I wanted for the cover, what I wanted the cover to be, and who I wanted to listen to it, and the pitch I wanted to make to Spotify, or all these things. But waiting for the right thing to come to you, like a visualization of how this album sounds or how the song sounds, and waiting for the right time to release it is challenging. But at the same time, I'm definitely putting less weight on things as of late. Like I feel like I'm not gonna wait more than 2 months to drop things anymore. So a lot more stuff coming out, I guess. Hopefully I look back on this and I was like, that was a good decision, and not like you should have done that, bro.
In the midst of chaos, what grounds you?
Definitely. Can I show a picture of my cat to the camera? Okay. Where's my phone? Oh, let me get my phone real quick. My girlfriend and my phone. My girlfriend always says the right thing, and she's very supportive of everything I'm doing. And then my cat is adorable, and I love going home to him because he's very cuddly. Let me find a good picture. This is him playing the PS5. Yeah, he's also my screensaver. I love him. His name's Murphy, and I definitely like going forward. I need to make like Murphy merch because I think it will like sell well. Would you guys buy Murphy merch? I don't know. Drop in the comments.
And the last question, what new things are you trying?
That's good. Yeah, I'm definitely. I won't talk too much about this because I don't know if you want me to, but I'm definitely trying to smoke less weed. And that's been going well, like I'm not doing that as much. I'm trying to get up earlier, stretch, because like I feel like if you just feel right, then you can do everything after that. So get up earlier, stretch, really just like make myself proud. Like if I knew I could have done better that day, then I'll think about that. And that's not a feeling I want to go to bed with. So I'm trying to like be more proactive, and like I've said all interview, like show up and just, even if it has to be the bare minimum that day, like meet your expectation for yourself, You don't need to ball out every day and like, make 3 songs and have a meeting with this and this and this. You can just show up as best as you can. And if you're feeling good and you're in the right headspace, that will be like a lot. And that's not always the expectation.
Collur, do you have anything admirable to say to the audience?
I would say that oftentimes we defeat ourselves with expectation, and we need to be more willing to just do things the way they are, navigate the world the way it is, and like I said, just show up as who we can be. Like, be yourself, and some expectation you have for something, don't let that stop anything from happening. You know, keep it going, and like just brick by brick, piece by piece, and it'll become something you're proud of until you're ready for something new. And that's a great place to be. So, piece by piece, be yourself.
Hey. This part gets a little low, and then when it passes, it's like.
He's dropping ad libs in the interview.
Bunch of beep, 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 beep.
There was a time in my life where I knew like 2 honks and 1 honk, and like I knew the braille of train horns. And so whenever it would pass and I was like sitting in my dorm, I'd be like, oh shoot, it's approaching a red light right now, or like, oh shoot, it's planning on stopping in 2 miles. Traffic needs to be aware of that. Very nerdy.